Everyone, I'm Olivia Delario, and today I'll be presenting my DSM-5 analysis of Libra Bray's short story, Rituals, which is part of a collection of short stories in this bigger book called Don't Call Me Crazy by Kelly Jensen. Rituals is a story that goes over Bray's experience on a plane ride. She talks with two other characters called OCD and Anxiety. So it's a very fun, kind of interactive, play-like scene as a conversation between her OCD and anxiety and herself. And it really shows just how overwhelming and constant mental illness can feel, even during something as ordinary as reading a book or going on a plane ride. Based on the DSM-5, I would diagnose Bray with obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, as her primary diagnosis, and generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, as her secondary diagnosis. While she doesn't necessarily label herself throughout the story, we can obviously see that she thinks that she has OCD and anxiety based off the name of her characters and just the way that her thoughts and behaviors match with the criteria for these disorders. So, according to the DSM-5, OCD involves obsessions, intrusive, unwanted thoughts, and compulsions, repeated behaviors that are aimed at reducing distress. And in Rituals, Bray shows signs of both. She is obsessing over reading page 47 thoroughly enough, as OCD tells her multiple times, to go back and read it. And if she didn't read it correctly, she also performs rituals like rereading, counting, and rubbing her fingertips to calm herself. There's also times where she is getting on the plane and OCD is asking her if she counted by sevens and threes when she got on the plane, and if she did it correctly, and that she needs to do it again. And there's even times when she's arguing rationally with the OCD, but it doesn't make a difference. The OCD is still like, sure, you can go and do that, but what if the plane crashes? What if all the kids die? You should just do your compulsions anyway. And obviously, these behaviors are very time consuming and interfere with her ability to relax or focus on the plane she's trying to read and just enjoy her plane ride. And she can't do that because of the unwanted thoughts and compulsions that she has to do. And then for the GAD diagnosis, I would say she also shows signs for general anxiety disorder because she has persistent, excessive worry about many things, not just about the plane, not just about things that are related to her OCD or compulsions. She just has an overarching sense of anxiety and dread about the future and about losing people and loss. And there's times where she's getting nervous, even though she doesn't have a peanut allergy, that she gets nervous that she might have a peanut allergy, or she's nervous about the plane crashing, or just random events happening. There's times where she's saying houses aren't safe, things aren't safe, that kind of just go above and beyond the necessarily specific things for OCD or just a specific phobia or fear. And these are hard for her to control. And she does experience some restlessness, fatigue, that she's tired, definitely some difficulty concentrating because she can't read her book as well. And I would definitely ask more if there is irritability that she feels or some sleep issues or just overall fatigue that she experiences that I couldn't really see if it was in the long run from the book, but from the little brief snippet that we had into her life, you can kind of see these things that she's experiencing. And she did at one point start to experience a sort of panic attack that she didn't fully get into, but she started to get a little, she started to lose her breath a little bit and feeling a little on edge. So why not other disorders? Even though she does experience some panic disorders, I would say that the panic is mainly situational and tied to her obsessions or just an overall anxious state, not necessarily a panic attack. It's also her anxiety is not related to having panic attacks. Like I said before, it's more general. And I would say it's not PTSD, though I would definitely ask to confirm if she's had any past trauma or these things relate around a specific memory or event. But from what it seems like in the story, it's not PTSD or related to trauma in a way. And I would say it's not depression because even though she does have a negative outlook on things, it's mainly due to anxiety, not necessarily because of a pervasive low mood or loss of interest in things. It's more of she's just afraid. or has irrational thoughts that she can't control about things. My treatment recommendation for OCD, the gold standard is exposure and response prevention. So this would involve basically her facing her triggers, like maybe plane rides or other things that scare her, or reading, without using her compulsions, trying to break the anxiety cycle. I would probably get her to read a book or a page without wanting to reread words, or to help her go on a plane ride without trying to count to threes and sevens is what she was doing. Yeah, basically the whole point there is to not give into her compulsions, even when thoughts are still there. And then for GAD, I would suggest cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to help with challenging her catastrophic thinking patterns and to help teach her some relaxation training, to help get better with her physical symptoms of anxiety and to kind of control and mitigate the mental ones as well. And then there's some medications like SSRIs, which can actually help both the OCD and the anxiety, by helping the neurotransmitter imbalances to reduce, the overall symptoms. And Bray in the story does actually show that she's using some coping strategies already by telling herself like her feelings are not going to kill her. These are fine. She has to be forgiving of herself. But obviously she's not necessarily at the state yet where she's not doing the compulsions, or that these aren't having such a big impact on her life, but she's definitely on the right track to getting there. And what are some causes? Based on our slides, OCD and specific OCD and GAD are both very genetically related. Most like twin studies and family studies for OCD show that there's a really strong genetic contribution to the cause of OCD, which can actually be related to the neurobiological factors, such as she might have an overactive frontal cortex or basal ganglia, or have a dysregulation between serotonin and glutamate or other neurotransmitters in her brain. And then I would say cognitive patterns might not necessarily be a cause, but be just a hindrance or an extra component to why her symptoms may be more severe, as she definitely has some like an inflated sense of responsibility and perfectionism and just a fear of harm, that definitely contributes to the cycle of anxiety and compulsions that she experiences. And I'm not sure from the story, but I would definitely look into seeing if she had like a past trauma, or if she experienced any negative life stressors growing up that can maybe contribute to the feelings that she's having now. And from what I learned from the short story in this was to see how OCD and anxiety really kind of work together, and make things very overwhelming for someone experiencing them. And I kind of could see how we talked in class how, with anxiety, a lot of times you can kind of rationale use rational thinking to kind of talk yourself out of having anxiety. But in this story, you can really see how OCD, even though it's very irrational, cannot be rationally thought out or tuned out, because even the character herself was trying to argue with it, but still end up doing the compulsions anyway, even though she knew and acknowledged that things were not rational, that her counting to sevens and threes was not going to cause the plane to crash or not crash, that's just kind of fate. It's up to the pilot in a way. But she still did the compulsions anyway. So it was very, it just gave me a better understanding of how those thoughts and feelings can come out and present in someone. It just gave me a very overall sense of like the thinking patterns that we talked about in class, like catastrophic thinking and how they play out in real life. And then through the whole book, Don't Call Me Crazy, I also was able to hear a lot of stories from various different authors about all of their experiences and journeys through their mental health. We talked about schizophrenia, depression, PTSD, eating disorders, and so on. There was many different disorders touched upon. So it just gave me a better nuanced understanding of how each disorder presents in each person and what they can feel like. And then also there was like overall themes that I really connected with, like people either accepting mental illness as part of themselves or choosing to see it as a separate entity. There's this very different dynamic between different people of how they want to choose how integral mental illness is in their identity, in a way that can be healing for them. And then also, it just showed me all the different ways that people deal with their mental illness and how they kind of work on getting better. A lot of people suggested like finding an outlet, like writing music or humor or just connecting with others, can help you and can help others. Yeah. And here are my references. And then here's just a quote that I liked that I thought I'd leave you with. Bye.